Hello, fellow traders. 'Tis I, TheRumpledOne. It is Thursday, January the 13th. The year's 2022. Let's talk trading. Problem solving part 4 with Walmal. These videos are for educational purposes only. Your results may differ from mine and from Walmal's. Walmal, Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you as well, and to all the other traders that may be out there listening. It's been a new year. It's been hopefully this will be a good and profitable year for everybody.
Yeah, so Walmal, we've been talking about problem solving as it applies to trading. And so I've talked about a number of problems, and the problem is that in trading the whole point is to make money. So if you're not making money, you got a problem.
Exactly. You're exactly right. I mean, otherwise, what are we doing other than just spending cash for no reason, right? So yeah, that's something that we need to to pay attention to. But it's funny because but probably a lot of the traders don't know. But my training is as an engineer, and so as an engineer, that the whole point of engineering really is problem solving. That's exactly what you're trained to do. And we have an acronym. It's called DG, which is DGEI, and it basically means define the problem, generate alternative solutions, evaluate alternatives, and then implement the alternatives. And I think that that's a good way, even looking at trading. Okay, we've got a problem. We're not making money. Okay, that's not good enough. That's saying, yeah, we have a problem. You need to go and actually define the problem. You need to actually figure out, okay, why am I not making money? Where's this? What's actually causing me not to make money? Is it because I'm trigger happy, which is one of my downfalls? Is it because I have an emotional problem and I get too wrapped up in the trade and I can't really function properly? Is it because I'm sitting there and I just don't calculate the risk properly? Is it what is the actual problem? And you need to go and spend some time and just evaluate that. Sit down and define the problem. Get yourself a notebook. If you're old school like me, get a notebook and start writing it out. Start paying attention to what you're doing. Writing everything out as you're doing it, and actually trying to get your hands wrapped around what the actual problem is. Because one of the things that you'll learn is that you can't fix the problem if you don't know what the problem is.
Yeah, and you know what?
There is a problem.
A lot of people don't like talking about problems, especially just in life in general, because they like to say, "Oh, you're being negative."
Well, I'm sorry, but from my worldview point of view, we're living in a world that's a fallen world that's got lots of problems in it. And if you don't learn to go and live within the bounds of those problems, you're not going to get very far. You can sit there and have all the positive thinking that you want, but eventually you're going to hit a wall someplace. So, yeah, I'm not saying be a Debbie Downer, as they say, but at the same time, recognize that there are problems out there. There are speed bumps out there that you're going to hit. There are going to be situations that you're just not good at. I'm sorry, it started with my generation, this whole idea, of participation trophies. Actually, probably my little brothers and sisters, their generation. But it's sort of like, oh, we're going to go out there and play Little League, and, Johnny, you stink at the game, but you know what? You're going to get a trophy anyway, And it's sort of like, I'm sorry, but, that's not how the real world works, and we have to be willing to go and recognize where we are, and maybe that is a problem that some of us are having a problem with. We're not willing to go and recognize that, hey, this world is a rough and tumble place, and let's face it, if you're going to go and trade, you're not going to go out there and trade, and these nice guys out there on the internet who provide your ISP and provide your broker who you signed up with and gave you money to, they're not there to go and make you money. That's not their goal is to go and make themselves money. So they're not going to be quote unquote nice to you. Now, of course, they want you to be there, so they're going to go and set things up and give you tools to help you out. But that's really all they're going to do. That's where that part of the deal ends. That next part is you. You got to figure that out. You got to figure out your method. You got to figure out if you're implementing your method right. You got to make sure that your money management's in place. You got to make sure that you're actually implementing your money management. You need to go and make sure that your risk appetite's there. You need to make sure that your psychology is there. You got to make sure all those different elements are there and in place, because nobody else is going to do it for you. And this is kind of, I mean, I'm probably being a little rough on people, but yeah, I'm sorry, but that's the real world we live in.
Yeah, especially in trading. Hey, you know what? In less than a minute, we've got the news release. I should probably bring up our lower high screen here, and we'll see what happens.
Yeah, it's interesting what's going on in the news today, and actually over the last couple of weeks. I mean, there's been lots of surprises, not really surprises, but I guess surprises to what the reaction to the market has been. I mean, there's been times like yesterday where when you looked at the actual numbers that were there, it was a surprise. You would think, oh, the dollar's going to get stronger. And what happened? The dollar got really, really weak. And it's just, I think it's just one of these situations. I think, Tiara, we were talking about it earlier. Is it the dollar is really that bad off? Or is it the pound is really that strong? And I think I said to you that no, I think it's just a situation where, because things worldwide with this pandemic and everything else that's going on in the world, every time any type of news goes out there and hits, it's a roller coaster that we're riding on. My dad, who's been a long time trader since, back in probably the late 50s, early 60s, and he likes to trade fundamental news. That's what he does. That he's always done that, and he loves doing that, and that's great for him. Not my way of trading, but that's what he likes to go and do. And he actually said to me about a week or so or two ago that, this just doesn't make any sense. Nothing makes any sense anymore. And, and that goes back to the whole point of our video, problem solving. So he's in the midst right now of problem solving. He's trying to figure these things out. He's trying to figure out, he's got to define the problem. The problem that he's defined is that for whatever reason, the fundamentals that are out there, the market's not reacting the way you would normally see the market react to those fundamentals. So now we defined the problem. So now he's now at the situation of, okay, we now need to go and start generating some alternative solutions. What are some solutions to this? Solution number one, which is the solution he's taking, is hands off. I'm not touching anything until this thing works its way out. That's a solution. That's not a bad solution, because if you can keep the money in the bank and not lose any money, that's always a good thing. Preserve your capital, because without capital, we can't go on. Another possible solution is to sit there and try to figure out, is there things that are coming out in this fundamental news and stuff that are clues as to why things are moving in those strange directions? I don't know. I'm not a fundamental trader, so I can't really talk very intelligently on that. But to me, that's just something that you could possibly do.
For a news release, I'm assuming the news release, there's nothing much happening.
Yeah, we've seen that. That's another thing that we've seen too. TRO, is that, remember, like even last Friday, right, when NFP happened.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden you'll get, and that's the thing that my dad has been talking about a lot. It's like you'll get a big release like NFP, and you expect some type of big reaction, and you really don't get it. And then you'll get some piece of yellow news that all of a sudden explodes the market. And it's like, what in the world is going on here? Yeah, the PPI got released, and it's actually worse for the U.S. They were expecting 0.4%. They got 0.2%. So, so it's not off by that much. And unemployment is worse as well, because the unemployment claims came out. They were expecting 199,000, and they actually got 230,000 new unemployment claims. That's, you're talking about a difference of 31,000 jobs. That's really insignificant in those numbers. So basically the numbers are pretty muted. So that's probably the reason why it hasn't really moved that much. We'll see if it makes a difference later on in the day. Now, part of the thing that, well, I know I've been talking a lot about fundamental stuff, but one of the things that, we got to remember is that what people do who do trade those fundamental numbers, they look at the number originally, or a lot of retailers in particular look at the numbers and say, oh no, look at that. That number is a big miss, and immediately go and trade in the direction of that big miss. The big money people, what they do is they actually, before they do anything, they sit down and actually read the entire report. And so sometimes you can sit there and get a big miss. The reality is, when you read through it, there's so many explanations to say, oh, you know what? That really doesn't mean anything. Or in this particular case, it may very well be that, hey, we didn't really miss by that much. It's a nothing thing. So the retailers are not excited. They're not doing anything about it. But the big money out there is sitting there reading it, and maybe they find something that is catastrophic in that actual number. And then all of a sudden you see an hour later, all of a sudden a move of 30, 40 pips, So that's always a potential of what sometimes happens.
Yeah. So, one of the things, for the traders is that I was saying how sometimes you have to take things away as opposed to adding things, and how,
Yep.
Looking at trading, I think we even had this conversation earlier this week where if you put somebody in front of a screen and a trade's already in place, and you say, okay, you got to manage this trade, it's a whole lot different. I would wager they would respond a whole lot differently if they had placed the trade themselves, because
they don't have all those biases walking in.
Yeah, because I think there's just one of these things I've been stressing is that, the analysis that you do before you enter the trade, you can just pretty much forget it once you enter the trade, because now it's all about managing the money and managing the risk.
Yep, you're exactly right. And it's the type of thing where you see, now look at this, we're talking, 5 minutes after the report came out.
Yeah.
Now the market's actually starting to move. It just shows you sometimes that's just what it takes. The numbers don't necessarily move it sometimes. Sometimes it's actually the reading of that report.
Well, that was my guess. Remember, I said the news has got to be bad for the U.S., so the pound should go up.
Yep, you did say that. But, you're exactly right. Sometimes you got to go and, and that this is an engineering, trick, and a type of thing is that, or not the thing, but one of the things that you do in engineering, if you got a very, very difficult problem, is you step back, okay, and you eliminate variables. And the way you do that, you say, well, this is something I'm not using it that often. Why do I have it clouding up my judgment? Well, in trading, we can do the same thing. I can't tell you how many traders have sent me their charts, and I've looked at their chart, and it's like, okay, where are the candles?
Yeah, charts on drugs.
Exactly. They've got so many indicators across their charts that, you can't even see, the trees through the forest, as they say.
Yeah, well,
well,
if you were to look at my chart, somebody go, well, look at all that stuff you got on the right-hand side. But it's like, but those are gauges, but if you look at my chart, all I have are the fibs and dynamic support resistance, with the 3-level ZZ. That's it.
Right. Yeah, one of the things I find myself doing about once every 2-3 months is, because I wind up adding things to the months and whatever. And every 2 or 3 months, I sit there and say, okay, back to basics, clear this crap off of here. Let's start all over again, and just get back to basics. And, because sometimes that's our nature. Our nature as human beings is to want to categorize things. Our nature is to try to go and put things into little boxes. And we think that by having all these little boxes that we can go and surround things, we can go and better understand things and how things move and whatever. And there is a lot of truth to that.
Yeah, and you know what? The truth is that the fastest 15 minutes of trading is just about up. Man, that goes by quick. Glad to have you back online there, Walmal. So, fellow traders, we're we're definitely going to probably continue this topic on the next week, maybe the whole month. We'll just have to wait and see. So just remember, it's not what you trade, it's how you trade it. So go out there and drain the banks. This is the Rumpled One, over and out.